Welcome to Geosynthetica's GeoTalk podcast, where we discuss geosynthetics and affiliated issues in civil and geotechnical engineering. I'm Chris Kelsey, editor of geosynthetica.net. One of the hottest topics in the field of geosynthetics has been the revival of geomembrane performance discussion. These debates have centered around exposed environment performance, buried service conditions, installation perspectives, and much more. The Berlin II think tank gathering in 2014 on HDPE geomembranes in exposed environments, the barrier studies at Queen's University in Canada, and the Geosynthetic Institute's ever-growing body of research on geomembrane durability and service life are just a few of the many forums, publications, and initiatives that are shaping debate. In this week's episode of GeoTalk, Vericor's Andrew Plowman, who comes to the debate from the manufacturing side, reminds us that we cannot forget to include proper drainage and venting of lining systems in our discussion of liner system and line facility performance. It's all part of the collective endeavor to continue improving the field and our infrastructures. My guest today is Andrew Plowman. He is the VP of Sales and Market Development for Vericor, a drainage and venting composites specialty company and engineering services provider. Andrew, I want to talk to you about draining and venting specifically because I feel like it's often glossed over in project stories, at geotechnical conferences. Here, for example, at the Geotechnical Frontiers Conference, there is one thing that caught my eye, that it was a drainage composites paper presented in a geomembrane session. And I think that's important. That's something I want to talk to you about because you have been one of the champions for this. You've been going out to talk about the importance of drainage and venting to liner systems specifically. So talk to me a little bit about that. Why is this liner system performance focus growing?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today, Chris. You're exactly right. There are some instances in the marketplace where it has been maybe overlooked more than what it should have been, and we find it as being a discussion that's sometimes buried in other discussions, and you're exactly correct that we believe that it's something that it's a topic when it comes to drainage and venting that should be kind of on the forefront of discussion, because we believe that the basis for all good projects starts with the bedwork and the cornerstones of the basis of these projects. I guess the key point that we want to drive home with our system is that quality and expertise in engineering practices and materials continues to grow and is exceptional and getting better year by year. We don't want that to be overshadowed by the fact that there still is a need, regardless of the quality of the engineering and of the materials. If there's a need underground under these projects for a system to mitigate and remove potential leakage, groundwater, and biogases, that as long as engineering practices continue to grow and excel, they will only be able to excel as far as what they are able to mitigate those compounding problems.
Yeah. What are the applications you're primarily looking at when you're talking about liner performance and properly utilizing the drainage and venting component?
Pretty much all things containment, but especially, the more the need to actually keep the material, whether it's fluid, whether it's tailings, whether it's wastewater, industrial, processed water, the higher the need that there is to keep it contained, the higher the need for a system such as ours to properly mitigate. if we're talking an application where, say, heap leach, for example, heap leach pads where
Sure.
you're dealing with leachate that's incredibly controlled, and the EPA keeps a real fine microscope on those type of applications. The importance of having a good leak detection, drainage, and venting system is paramount.
Yeah.
And that can go all the way from controlled substances by the EPA all the way down to wastewater treatment localized in rural areas where state regulatory agencies really keep close tabs on how these systems are performing, the amount of leakage coming from underneath these systems. And we only see that industry both growing but also being more controlled and heavily regulated.
Yeah. How do you engineer, or do you engineer your products differently for certain applications?
We do. We pride ourselves on working with our customers and working with the engineer community. That's kind of one of the things that we do differently as a manufacturer is work directly with those who are designing these systems. So they come to us specifically with a project, and they will say, here's what we have. Give us your thoughts, give us your feedback and your ideas for this project. And it's almost, there is no cookie cutter template design for any one project, because every project has its own unique set of variables.
Yeah.
And so every system essentially is its own unique animal. And we like that aspect of it, because every project that an engineer or a customer is designing, that's unique and important to them, each individual project, as it is to us.
Yeah. When did Vericore, through the multi-flow system, when did you get more involved on the liner side in supporting liner applications? I know you have a pretty deep history in, say, roadway drainage and
Yes.
Athletic fields and things like that I think a lot of people think about when they think about drainage.
Right. Well, and that's the prettier side of drainage, if there is a pretty side of drainage, I guess. The joke is always, how can you sell drainage? Drain pipe. What a boring product. And we find it's more about the end result.
Yeah.
And what's nice about the athletic field or recreational space in industry, I guess, is the end result of these pretty athletic complexes and these beautiful recreational facilities and whatnot. Now we're talking geomembrane, geocomposite, liner applications and whatnot. I think started to really come online about 7-8 years ago as the industry kind of matured, and we started seeing especially a lot of increase in usage for rural wastewater treatment. And as up where we are in rural Minnesota, the small communities were switching over, and they couldn't afford wastewater treatment plants.
Yeah.
But they did want wastewater treatment systems to replace all the individual septic systems. And so we started, that's kind of the beginning of where we saw these ponds being developed and being lined more intensively. And it was kind of happening in our own backyard. Upon further investigation, we found out that this was a direction that the geosynthetics industry had been going for a number of years.
Yeah.
But it had finally reached its way to our backyard. Well, because it had come close to us, we also began hearing some of the inherent problems, and that was whalebacks, hippos, big bubbles forming underneath these lagoons. And we were hearing about it locally, and we got to thinking, and we said, what? Why couldn't our product apply to that? Why couldn't our system apply to that? And there has to be, something that can be done to address these situations. Upon further research and looking at information that had been gathered by certain individuals in the industry, Mr. Peggs, for example.
Yes.
Done a fantastic job at addressing the issue and marking out some of those factors that, before we can even address the venting of these biogases, we have to take a look at the fact that the biogases are originating somewhere, and that would be from leaked contents.
Yeah.
And so we said leaked contents, that equals drainage for us in our world. And it was kind of history ever since. And so we started down that market and ended up teaming with the DNR and doing some work, some hatchery work, because they knew they were experiencing some leakage in the liners that they were using for their hatchery ponds.
Yeah.
And the DNR had been heavily involved in that industry for a number of years, so that sort of
Yeah.
gave us a running start into the market.
Yeah. And you're doing this nationally now.
Yes,
Yeah.
Nationally and internationally now.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Yes, it's taken off quickly.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. It's certainly making projects a little more safer. Liners are performing better. We have better environmental reputations for
Yes.
it, and it's great work.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we think the increased concentration on preserving the quality of our groundwater and our waterways in all communities,
Yeah.
around America, but around the world too, preserving the quality of that ecosystem is of utmost importance. And this is also a system that, if nothing else, gives customers and engineers and specifiers another option, and an option for something that didn't currently exist. There are other options in the marketplace, so we recognize that, but we believe we fill a market space where nothing was before, and so we believe that it will be a helpful product.
Perfect. Andrew, thank you for sharing your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
And you can learn more about Vericor's drainage and venting systems and engineering services at the Multiflow website, www.multiflow.com. There is a hyphen between the words multi and flow. And we've got links to additional resources, such as an article by Andrew Plowman for you in our podcast article. Visit geosynthetica.net and click on the Media tab. Thank you for listening.